What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another episode of my stage-by-stage Overwatch League Awards. In today's installment, I'll be giving out my awards for Stage 3 of the 2019 season. The categories will be the same as my previous award videos, but there will be one new one thrown into the mix this time. I will be giving out an award for MVP, Rookie of the Stage, Most Improved Team, Most Improved Player, and this time we're going to add a new one in called Most Surprising Team. The credentials I use for every single award will be the same as any other award video, which means that I will mostly base my awards off of things like statistics, in-game performance, and achievements. And one other thing before I begin, remember, all of what you hear in this video is strictly my opinion. None of what I say is a universal fact, so if you disagree, that's okay. And if you do disagree with anything I say, I encourage you to respectfully tell me down in the comments section why you feel that way. And that's basically everything you need to know, so without wasting any more time, let's get started by kicking off the video with my MVP for Stage 3. This award is usually kind of tough for me since there's so many good players in the league who significantly help their team find success. I could give this award to a lot of people who really deserve it. Dante and Ding are really good options because their strong Sombra play has led their teams to both going 5-2 this stage, and as a bonus, Ding also dominated throughout the entirety of the Stage 3 playoffs on Pharah. It's also really easy to go with the likes of Gushwei or Diem too. They both had many hard carry performances for their teams while leading them to the stage playoffs. Gushwei's Winston tended to give his team a lot of space while getting a lot of value off of Primal Rage, and Diem landed a lot of big shots on Widowmaker, and he did a good amount for his team on other heroes such as Sombra and Hanzo. There's so many other people I could give this award to, but I don't want the video to be too long, so the man who is going to receive the Stage 3 MVP for me is none other than Kariv. The reason I selected him is actually quite simple. His flex support play for the Valiant in Stage 3 was nothing short of incredible. The moment the Valiant beat Shanghai and onward, it's been the Kariv show. His presence was being felt every single game up until the Valiant got crushed by the Shock in the playoffs. He was honestly the main reason why the Valiant even beat Shanghai and Vancouver in the first place. His play and his team's dominant victory over the London Spitfire and close win over the Spark during the playoffs were also games he was a big playmaker in. A common theme throughout all of those games was how often he was hitting sleep darts while landing massive anti-hills using his biotic grenade. In many of those games the Valiant played this stage, Kariv was allowing his team to win teamfights just by hitting one ability alone. The man was doing it all. He was sleeping Pharahs consistently with sleep darts out of the sky and even canceling out enemy Sombras while trying to EMP. He was also anti-healing almost the entire enemy team whenever KSF would grab or Shaxx would use EMP. He, in my opinion, did more than any other player in the league to help his team find success this stage, and it's kind of hard to argue against that too since he was literally deciding the outcomes of games through the plays he made. I mean, just look at that stat line he put up against the Titans. Also, I'm going to put the one up against Shanghai shortly after. The man literally hit 70 sleep darts in 2 matches. That is ridiculous. How else can I even describe that ludicrous number? I've been watching Kariv for a very long time now, but this is probably the best stretch of Overwatch I've ever seen the man play, and that is why I believe he's the MVP this stage. Now let's talk about Rookie of the Stage. In my opinion, there's been a handful of solid rookies this stage. I've already mentioned Ding, Diem, and Gushwei earlier, so I won't go into much detail with them, but there's some other good rookies that we haven't really talked about. You can make an argument that anybody from the Spark deserves this award as well with how they've been playing as of late. Adora, Bebe, and IDK in particular have greatly impressed me, and while the Titans weren't as dominant this stage, many of their players were still very good. But after weighing my options, I've decided to give my Rookie of the Stage award to Ding of the Shanghai Dragons. My reasoning behind this selection can kind of be explained by what I said about him earlier. The guy has made such a huge impact on the Sombra and Pharah. I honestly don't know if the Dragons even make the playoffs this stage without all those heroic hard carry plays he made. Whether he was playing Sombra on the GOATS composition or Pharah in their triple DPS Wrecking Ball comps, he was one of the guys on this team who pretty much showed up every single game. The Dragons often depended on him to set everything up with either a big EMP or by getting the first pick in a fight with a good barrage or direct rocket hit, and he was unbelievably clutch in the stage playoffs. This especially goes for the stage finals. He almost always played Pharah during this time, but no matter what the enemy was running, he absolutely annihilated his enemies. Look at his stat line on Pharah during the Stage 3 finals against the Shock. Those numbers are stupid good. This will definitely go down as one of the greatest Pharah performances in the entire league's history. Not only is Ding being considered to be part of the best DPS duo in the league right now, but he's also the #1 Pharah. The amount of work he's put in this stage will not go unnoticed by me. I can understand if you believe somebody else is more deserving of this award, but I personally believe that Ding is the #1 choice. Moving on to Most Improved Team, there's really only 2 teams that are deserving of this award. The LA Valiant and Houston Outlaws are, in my opinion, the only teams in the league that deserve it right now. The Valiant went from 3-4 in Stage 2 to a threat to the rest of the league by going 5-2 while making an appearance in the Final 4 of the stage playoffs. The Outlaws, on the other hand, went from going 0-7 in the previous stage to 5-2 with a stage playoff appearance and win over the San Francisco Shock. But the thing with the Outlaws is that it kind of felt like they fell off after getting their win against the Shock. Yes, they were still winning a lot of their games, but crushing a struggling Uprising team and beating the likes of the Justice and the Eternal is not super impressive. Plus, they took an L to the Florida Mayhem. They seriously got outplayed by arguably the worst team in the Overwatch League right now. Sure, they also took the NYXL to a map 5, but then they got embarrassed by the Titans in the stage playoffs. I would understand if you feel the Outlaws are the most improved team, but I believe that honor belongs to the Valiant, and here's why. Yes, they did not improve as much win total-wise compared to the Outlaws, but a lot of their wins were much more meaningful. Not only were they the first team to hand the Vancouver Titans a loss in the regular season, but they also handed the Spark their first loss in a map 5 scenario during round 1 of the playoffs, getting a quality win over the stage champion Shanghai Dragons and beating the London Spitfire into submission are two other quality wins they got this stage. Like with the Outlaws, the Valiant used the power of Sombra to their advantage. I mentioned how good Kariva's been already, so let's focus in on how KSF and Agilities have played much better too. And it goes beyond the Zarya and Brig play though. The Valiant tended to look really good while they were using DPS in the triple DPS Wrecking Ball comp. Give credit where it's due to Fact Fiction too. Since being traded for Fate, he's been a major upgrade at the main tank position. The Valiant were able to improve in terms of being more competitive and with their players. Again, no disrespect to the Outlaws, they did a lot of the same, but the Valiant did it better to me because of all those achievements they had. They improved so much, it's actually insane. They went from a team that everybody had written off to a serious threat that could very well end up sneaking into the play-in tournament and maybe even the end of your playoffs. Now it's time for Most Improved Player. There were a whole bunch of people who showed tremendous improvement this stage. Players such as Jake and Raucus didn't look washed up like in previous stages, which is pretty evident by how better the Outlaws were this stage, and then Bebe from the Hangzhou Spark also impressed me quite a bit. I never really thought he was a bad flex support player, but he definitely stepped up his game. While he did suffer from this sometimes still, I will admit, I feel that his Transcendence usages have gotten a lot better since the end of Stage 2. He's been pretty consistent on the Ana as well. Sabe Yobi is yet another person you can make an argument for, since he went from someone who was useless in the GOATS meta to a decent Sombra player that actually proved to be of value for the NYXL during Stage 3. The man grinded out a new hero and got pretty decent with her. But after some careful consideration, I've decided to go with KSF as my winner of the Most Improved Player award. I know we all look at Kariv and Sombra as the two saviors of the Valiant this stage, but KSF put in the work. His Zarya was really consistent, and his DPS was very strong. Anybody else see him hold his own against DM, who was widely considered to be a top-tier Widowmaker player on the planet? Or how about the crazy hard carry plays he made on Hanzo? That one against the London Spitfire in particular was incredible. KSF has come a long way this year. If you told me that he would become a serviceable DPS player for the Valiant when he first joined the team last year, then I would have called you crazy. Same can be said during Stage 1 and part of Stage 2 this year. Up until around the beginning of Stage 3, maybe the end of Stage 2, I was never a big fan of KSF, and I never really understood why the Valiant gave him so much praise. I always thought of him as nothing more than a scrim god, but not anymore. KSF is a changed man. He no longer looks like that same dude who was scared to play on stage. With how KSF played in Stage 3, I'm expecting great things from him to end off the year, and maybe a strong play will even earn him a spot on Team USA in the World Cup. Alrighty, now it's time for the final award of the video, which, as I mentioned earlier, is a new one that I just added. Let's give out my award for Most Surprising Team, and I could honestly hand this award out for many different reasons. I could say a team surprised me in a positive way, like with the Shanghai Dragons for example, since nobody really expected them to win Stage 3. But in this video, I'm going to be focusing in on more of the negative side of things. One team in particular has surprised me with how poor they played, and that honor goes to none other than the Boston Uprising. I know they didn't do hot in Stage 2, but I was not expecting them to go 1-6 in Stage 3. Their schedule wasn't super easy, I will admit it, but a lot of the games they had were really winnable for sure. I mean, they played the Paris Eternal twice, and they definitely could have beaten the Fusion in one of their two meetings as well. Getting embarrassed by the Spitfire and Outlaws is not a very good look either. When your only win of the stage comes against the Eternal where you had to reverse sweep, then it's safe to say that you had a bad stage, is it not? I've also heard rumors that the Uprising were playing Persia and Alamau due to AimGod and Kelix not getting along, so that only makes me feel even more disappointed in them. I've always thought that AimGod and Kelix made for a decent support duo, so watching them get subbed out in favor of a weaker support line that doesn't work as well for their team is kind of sad. The Boston Uprising were nothing short of a disappointment for me this stage. Yeah, sure, they had some close losses here and there, and they got another reverse sweep victory, but 1-6 is still 1-6. That's a pitiful record to have for a team that we all know is capable of so much more. Teams like Paris, Philly, and London weren't all that impressive this stage, so losing to them is not a very good look. Their poor performance in Stage 3, alongside their rumored internal struggles, has left me feeling very disappointed in them, and that is why the Boston Uprising are the most surprising team for me in a bad way this stage. I expected these guys to do so much more, but they were a total letdown. Hopefully a 2-2-2 meta helps them have a turnaround to end the year off strong. And with that being said, that is going to wrap up my Overwatch League Stage 3 awards. Who would you give out an award for every category? Make sure to let me know down in the comment section. If you enjoyed this content, then be sure to like and subscribe. As always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.